And Grant.
Is he having issues, is he? Ah, here he is. He's
Bloody
looking very...
hell.
Oh,
my
no.
God. Oh, Jesus, Grant.
So, to anyone that's watching the podcast who didn't know...
Is it your microphone?
Can you hear us, sir?
No, you've been fucking around with your aubergine. You've like totally fucked your sound.
Right, while Grant's coming on, I'm gonna nip off. I'll be back in a sec. Yeah, you
go. Oh, I'm totally on my own here. Grant is not. Someone thought it was Donna. Where are you? Oh, there's Paul going on the live feed. Well, remember, please, 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 if you haven't already, donate to the kiddies. Seriously, Grant, what are you doing? I bet you any money's left and come back out and Paul's not here to let him back in again. And I'm on my own. What a lovely guy. He was, Emma. He was really lovely. I want to pop. Yay me. Lovely hero. Grant, are you there? I'm here. Oh, thank you, Donna. I don't know what's happening. I must feel like what Paul felt like earlier, but he had Charlotte, so he's not here.
Leo, sorry.
It's still okay. No, he's still not there. I tell you what, Emma's just saying for fuck's sake, Grant. While Grant's sorting his shit out, I'm going to go and run to the toilet. I have drank far too much pop. Right, 2 minutes.
There you bother. So, guys, thanks for everyone tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the crack that we've been having. We're on to the final 2 hours now. Like I say, just to give you an update, just to see what the total we are at now as well. Currently, like I said, at £470, which again is more than what we expected. It's completely blown me and Sam both away. I'm still laughing at Grant being frozen now on the podcast in the most sinister looking pose I've seen. Well, I would say I've seen Grant do, but I've seen Grant do much more sinister looks before in the past. So I'm just gonna wish I could, like I say, take a screen grab and just keep that forever. But so he's disappeared now, so we'll just wait for him to come back. And there's just an empty chair. Dinah still keeps us company, bless her. She's been with us all day, the little girl. She's been a good little girl, even though when she's been biting me toes. Oh, and how's everyone in the chat? Have you been enjoying today? The ones that stuck by us and like I say, with up to the 10 hours, are you as tired as I'm feeling? Glad you have had fun. Seeing if Grant's actually going to come back. Could be Donna's time to shine. And how's everyone been on the Facebook group as well? Has everyone behaved themselves today, I hope? Oh. Got something happening. Is that what you get for trying to be clever?
Man, the minute I joined, all the audio cut out. Yeah.
I can hear you.
I don't know if you guys could hear me or not, but
no, I just saw you masturbating an aubergine, which you did promise, which I was expecting. I know you don't bullshit, so I was expecting it, but it still shocked us. But,
did it not get broadcast? Did it?
No, it's up there.
Oh, wonderful.
A few people in the chat was just like really surprised and like, oh my God, Grant, what are you doing? But do we expect anything less?
I'll wait for Sammy to come back before we get started. I had a little Silence of the Lambs style audio for you. I ask you some questions, but no, the moment is gone. Got it.
Oh,
Hello,
bless you.
Sammy.
Hi. Sorry, my husband ordered a curry and he had Papa John's and they're like my absolute favourite, so I'm gonna eat them like crisps.
Absolutely beautiful.
Great stuff. How we doing, Grand?
We're doing all right. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there where all the sound went as soon as I joined the room, which was a little bit shit, but
I had an hour of technical difficulties, so
oh hell. How are you guys feeling? I bet you're worn out now, are you?
all will be.
It's kicking on now. I felt bad for the last one because, like I said, I didn't really have much input into the Game of Thrones topic, but glad Sam stepped up because I love Game of Thrones, but I don't deep dive into it, so it wasn't really my strong point. But like I say, everyone's been amazing there. All the guests have come with really good energy and strong.
Yeah.
And like I said, Donna's been an absolute trooper as well, looking after everyone. And like I say, her and Charlotte in the live chat as well has kept us going really strong as well. So yeah, it's been interesting. And I'm looking forward to your topic to see if see what take you've got to throw at us now.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, my topic was going to be the weirdest anime you've ever masturbated to.
Right. One that I called so-called Devil Man. That was quite strange. But yes.
I wasn't expecting that sharp of an answer, Paul. That's quite exciting. No. What I'm going to talk about is these things.
Right.
I know we've already had books on earlier on. There was children's books.
Yes.
I was debating, like, obviously something a little bit more adult. I was initially going to think about banned books, but really banned books, you know, unless it's been banned for religious blasphemy, there's not a lot of them out there. So what I figured we could talk about is impactful literature. That being something that you've read or a few books that you've read during your life. It can be obviously graphic novels as well. You know, there's plenty of absolutely stunning graphic novels out there that tell amazing stories.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's literature that's changed your life a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want a bit of a time to think, then obviously I know my two. So if you want me to talk for a little bit about one of my books while you guys think about what you want to bring to the plate, then I can talk for 10 or 15 minutes.
No, cool. Go for it. Like I said, I'd love to chip in. Like I said, I've already got a few that jump straight in my mind anyway as well. I think we've discussed them little bits in the podcast throughout today as well. But I know probably Charlotte's in the chat room, Billy just exploding with excitement, bless her, with this. Have we lost Grant again?
She's not jumping in, she promises. That's what she said.
We lost you for a second, Grant, but no, you're back with us there. So yeah,
got sketchy internet here.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell me about it.
But yeah, if you want to go for it, go for a start. Let's see what you throw at us.
I'll go for one of mine, obviously, first, because I'm not going to talk about yours because I don't know what it is yet. Book that probably changed my life the most was this. Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. Anybody that watched the Halloween podcast and didn't turn it off because of the stuff I was saying might end up.
Oh, it's not me. Are you there? Are you still there, Paul? Can you hear me?
I'm still here. Yeah, no, I'm
thank
still
God
here.
for that. Can you hear me crunching?
A little bit, but
I think the internet's trying to tell me something here, isn't it?
We can hear you now.
But you can't see me.
No.
Oh, for the love of Christ. All right. Well, I suppose while you guys are talking about, as long as you can hear me, while you guys are talking about your books, I'll try and rectify it. So yeah, Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. When I read The Exorcist when I was a kid, I picked up 3 books that day, and I was obviously walking around looking for horror. So I picked up The Exorcist. I picked up The Fog by James Herbert. Amazing horror novel. And obviously seeing a word like slaughterhouse on the front of a novel, I judged a book by its cover.
And
Case told. So I'd probably been about 11, and I'd picked up this story. And
hello, are you still there?
I think we've lost a Grant. I feel like I've been ripped off of Papa John's, so there was only one in there.
Oh, I think we've lost Grant now.
Can you message him? I don't know if he knows he's gone.
2 seconds.
No worries. It's to Zoom been doing it all day. Oh, we got a Grant name.
Oh,
Grant.
yep. Can't hear you. See you, but can't hear you now.
No.
Can't hear you.
Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Oh, it's just me and you.
We'll give him a chance to come back in, but like I said, I do love this topic. Like I said, I know straight away, like 2 of the books that jump straight to mind. I don't know if I probably can guess one of yours.
Go on then.
Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Thomas
You know me so well. I need to just take my headphone off a minute. Like, I can still hear you. These are really loud, but I am not used to like
having to get clunky things on your head as well.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's not good. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, Red Dragon is like, it's, I can't even explain why. Like, I don't know why. There's no significant part of that book that went, you're the reason, you're the reason I'm gonna love this. Like, I just loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't want to leave it. I don't know if it's because, again, I'm not really that a fiction reader. Is he coming back? Oh, it's a Grant. Okay, if I have black all over my face, it's because I give in and I'm rubbing my eyes now.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, wonderful. I don't know, where did you hear up to?
That your 11-year-old looking at the cover.
Yeah, basically. So I picked up this book, and it's a kind of pseudo sci-fi novel written in the 50s. Massively influential book for a book that not a lot of people seem to have heard of. It details the story of a guy who can basically live his life linearly from time. So he can walk through his kitchen door in 1965 when he's married to his wife and 2 kids, and when he comes out the other side, he's 21 and he's in a concentration camp just outside of Dresden when the Dresden bombings happened. And then he'll walk into the shower room in the Dresden POW camp and awaken, being wheeled through the door 5 minutes from his death. And it keeps going back and forwards like that in quite an autobiographical sense.
Have I gone?
This guy ended up.
Yeah, I think his audio's gone again. I think he's just realised, bless him. We can see you, Grant, but there's no sound coming through again.
It's doing what it did the other day. Do you know when it was like catching it? It was like repeating things that we'd said.
Yeah, I think Kev's just messaged. Well, Charlotte's just messaged saying Kev says there's been in issues with Zoom all day. So I don't know if it's a problem with Zoom.
Oh, so it might not have been my crappy computer.
Potentially, but
at least I know I've got options with my husband's computer.
Oh, bless him. He's got your face on now. What was so earlier?
Oh, honestly, it's so frustrating, especially when I was so ready. I was so pumped for it. I had everything organized in that room. See, do you see what I mean? It's like picking up audio from what he said earlier and just chucking it out there.
I think he's ready to lose it, like. But yeah, like say, while Grant's trying to return to us, just what you were saying about, like, say, the Red Dragon, saying you don't know why it was having such an impact.
Is Grant using a computer or a phone?
I don't know. Just message him now.
Emma's just texted saying beautiful singing.
Yeah, probably is like going, like I said, the first one that jumped to my mind. Again, I talked about a little bit during when we were talking about the Jim Carrey and Yes Man, but the Danny Wallace book, Yes Man, did actually change like my whole outlook on a lot of things. Because at the time, it was during I was in a relationship with this girl that lived in Manchester, and I was going down, but I was not really, I would say, living my life at all. I was like kind of just working and going to see her and not
Just existing.
really just existing. You know, that was the kind of way I would describe it. But with that, after I read it, because after we broke up, I kind of didn't know what to do and like how to go about it. And people were asking us to do stuff. And when you're in the funk of being in a breakup as well, you don't want to do stuff. So when I read that, and like I say, it's such a joyous book as well, because Danny Wallace is going through the same thing where he's just broke up with his girlfriend after starting a cult by mistake, funny enough, in a book called Join Me. But like I say, the Yes Man, like his first night out, where he's decided he's going to do this whole aspect of saying yes to everything. He basically, I'm trying to get my words out now, he then changes his outlook and he goes on a night out because someone asks him, do you want to go out tonight? So he says yes. He then has the whole aspect of goes into a club and he's talking to this girl and someone walks up and says, are you talking to my girlfriend? He says yes. He goes, all right, so you're looking for a fight? And he goes, yes. And Danny Wallace is not the biggest or scariest looking guy. And the guy walks up and says, nutcase. So Danny Wallace gets all excited and thinks, I've won this fight through the power of yes.
All right.
Cool. Are you back there, Grant?
I bloody hope so, mate. Sorry about this. The Wi-Fi up my way can be sketchy as hell sometimes.
Well, we've been told off Kev that there's been issues with Zoom, so it might explain the issues that I had earlier, and because it's very similar to what I had with my computer that you're having right now.
Oh, bloody hell. I would try and join with my phone, but my phone is an absolute piece of shit. There's no way it's going to work through that thing. If I try and do a WhatsApp video call on it, it crashes the entire thing. So sorry about that, guys. I'm fairly certain it's just my hillbilly Wi-Fi.
No, don't worry. Like I say, we'll get there in the end.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, trying to think of, because I was just talking about, like I say, the book that meant a lot to me as well was the Yes Man with Danny Wallace.
Right.
How basically it's a comedy book, but it's a true story where he spent 6 months of his life saying yes, well, to everything, but he did have rules, like he would never kill someone, or he would never take advantage of someone. Like if some woman said to him, will you go to bed with us? He wouldn't say yes to that if he didn't want to.
Right.
So then with the two rules that he had, so he ends up going on mad adventures to around the world or takes job opportunities. And like even someone says, oh, do you want to buy this shit car that I've got? And he says yes, and he ends up with this banger just driving about in it. But like the way it remembers it to me, because I think it was a time I was going to Manchester a lot, and I broke up with the girl I was seeing down there. And I think you spotted us one time. I was in the borough, just sitting there, like probably depressed. But I read that book, and it opened up my opportunity to say yes to a lot more things. And like say you meet new people, and probably did, like Sam had a word earlier, like maybe had an influence of me starting this podcast up as well. Because normally I would not even think about doing anything like this or have the balls to do something like that.
Definitely life-changing, man.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. So that would be like say one of the things. But you were talking about the Slaughterhouse 5.
Yeah, and right? I'm really interested in hearing about it. Talk quickly.
Okay, so yeah, it's, like I say, lives his life non-linearly. Oh, you know what I mean.
I do.
In time, so he's constantly flitting back and forward. Vonnegut is a sci-fi author, so there are certain elements in the storyline that definitely touch on sci-fi from a 50s point of view. As far as it being nerdy is concerned, aside from the fact that Vonnegut is obviously a well-renowned author, it's the reach that this book has. You know, for people that have never heard of it, you've still heard of it and just not realized it. If you've played Borderlands 2 and you're going through as Maya, the siren, if you get a critical headshot with her, there's one of her speech things where she screams, "So it goes." The reason that she shouts that is because every time that death is mentioned in that book, it's followed by the phrase "so it goes" every single time it's mentioned. In Footloose, the scene where Kevin Bacon's getting up on his soapbox, so to speak, about how they should be allowed to read certain books, and getting angry about the fact that the creativity has been restricted. One of the books that he mentions is Slaughterhouse-5.
Right. Okay.
It's one of those books that's influenced a hell of a lot of people, and therefore it gets shoehorned in bizarre ways. It was never confirmed, but there's a race of aliens in his books that turn up from time to time. And the description of the aliens, if you look at the ones that abduct Brian in Life of Brian, in that little scene where he gets taken off in the flying saucer, the aliens in that match the description of the aliens that Vonnegut was writing about in the 50s in a lot of his sci-fi novels. So it's not just impactful for me. I think it's one of those books that needs to be appreciated as being impactful on everybody, because it's impacted in all these many different ways. The band Ice Nine Kills, for anybody that's into more modern, I don't know if you'd class it as metal or whatever, it's not from Slaughterhouse-5, but it's from a different Vonnegut novel called Cat's Cradle. Ice Nine is water in a state where it's solid at room temperature. So if it gets into the ocean, it solidifies all of the water on Earth and brings about the apocalypse. It's
all right.
Wow.
Very interesting. I will be checking it out. It sounds like right up my street.
It's only little as well.
Yeah.
You can read it like an
that's really helpful.
That's a good choice. I've mentioned mine. I know Sam's touched on hers. We had a brief conversation. Do you want to go into a little bit more detail about Red Dragon?
Yes.
I was just saying earlier that I can't give you an explanation to say as to why this book means the world to us. It just does. And I just remember how I felt after I read it, after I understood it. Like, if anyone knows me, I have difficulty with reading. I did as a child, not so much as an adult, but I did as a child. So reading was a massive thing for us. It
was my chair.
I thought Dinah was chirping in or something.
She's fast asleep.
I generally just can't think as to there's no particular moment in it that I would say this is the reason I love you. I just do. I just really do.
But that's something that's special though when it's a book like that, and especially with the ones that a lot of people would have gravitated towards, like Silence of the Lambs and stuff. But Red Dragon is again, I've not read the book, so I can't really comment. But I do love the film. I love Manhunter more, but we've had that discussion previously
many times. Many times. More recently, I took a deep dive in my reading material, and I read a lot on. This is going to sound so morbid. I read a lot on death, and it started with I read Dave Cullen's Columbine. That shook me to my core, to my core. But then I moved on to Caitlin Doherty's. She works in a crematorium in America. She owns a crematorium. She is very much of the one, because American funerals are very different to ours. In America, basically a person dies and the funeral home just takes over. You deal with it. Just send me the check. You just send me the bill. In England, we're very personal. We're very personal with our funerals. And she wants that in American funeral homes. She wants the families to be involved. But it was the book I read was all about her time in a crematorium, in a crematorium house, and it was so interesting. But it really, when I finished, I went cold, and I'm only starting to defrost. And I read that in August.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, it hit me hard. And then I'm not the death side of it or anything like that. I've just overdone it. I really have. I've overdone it. And this is what I was saying about horror. I've overdone it with horror. I've overdone it with the material that I've been reading, any documentaries or programs on YouTube I've been watching, and I went cold, and I'm only just now starting to come back alive a bit. So yeah, them books were quite poignant for us because
the way it made you feel and changed, like not changed you, but kind of like opened you up to certain things as well.
And I never thought that I would become the kind of person who would be bothered by stuff, because I'm not bothered by stuff. Like I'm interested in everything, and that bothered us. Like it got to us, like really badly.
And what was your next choice then, Grant, that you're going to throw at us there?
Grant, your eyes look beautifully blue through this camera, mind.
Do I need to get the aubergine back out?
I don't think poor Emma could take it. It completely destroyed her on the chat.
I'll tell you what it is. In the group chat that we had going for the charity podcast, there was a couple of things. First of all, Jake had requested that I look longingly down the camera and just stroke it for an hour, so you guys got off lightly.
Wow.
The other thing he suggested...
You're just being the king now as well.
I will lead the uprising against that boy. I'll tell you that for now. The other one he came up with, you guys may or may not be aware that, but I live in a madhouse of animals. I really, really do. And they turned around, they were like, "Oh, we want all of your animals in the house, like in the room with you, so that we can just see the ensuing chaos." And I don't know if the light's bright enough, but
oh, where's he going?
Going to show the animals. Look at the canine at the back there. A dog.
All of them.
Oh, bless them.
Fast asleep.
Oh.
So no animal chaos, although it will probably happen before the end. All right, I've got a little pile here because I didn't know how quickly we would go through books, so I had two chosen. The second one was a book that you mentioned the borough before. Obviously, anybody that drank in that pub will remember my best mate in the whole world, Paul K. If you're watching, stinky, horrible bastard. He put me on to this after much nagging. That is Vert by Jeff Noon. It was a sci-fi novel written by a UK author in the mid-90s. And what it basically details is it's dystopian, but you don't get really context as to why it's dystopian. It simply is. The best way that I could describe this book, it's like one of the great Greek myths has been written by Irvin Welsh.
All right.
Oh, wow.
So very British in style.
Most definitely. It's set in Manchester. When I say Irvin Welsh, I'm not talking about all written in an accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get the tone.
I get the tone. Don't worry.
In this bleak future, the concept of drugs and the concept of entertainment have become intertwined in what could really only be described as a drug that people take in the form of feathers called verts. And the way these things work, it's almost like an alternative, like synthetic reality that you get sucked into. Gets detailed very early in the book. Say you're all fans of Coronation Street. In fact, fuck Coronation Street, we're on Nerdy Up North. Let's talk about Game of Thrones. Say all of us loved Game of Thrones. If I got one of these feathers that was Game of Thrones themed and all of us licked it, we would all collectively experience that trip. As if we were in an episode of Game of Thrones and people could go and like play their own characters and all of this kind of stuff. But there's obviously the abuse of these things as well. And what happens is we join this group very early on, the waster kind of types, you know, your traditional kind of speed freak junkies almost, trying to get hit for one of these things that's more along the lines of a traditional drug. And what has happened, because these experiences are reality, the deeper ones have lasting effects on our own reality. Say you dropped your wallet when you were in a particularly strong one of these trips and you left it in the trip, something from the trip would come back into reality with you. And what's happened is they've all taken a really, really strong dose of this vert, and one of the girls from the group has become trapped in that reality and a creature from it has come out. So it's all about them basically trying to track down this this mythical version of the drug that is said to have never existed, in order for them to get back in there and find this person that's trapped in there and bring them back out. I mentioned Greek mythology before. Obviously, nearly every Greek myth involves somebody having to wander into the underworld and have a quick word with Hades.
No, it's very.
So
it sounds very like a Westworld cross between Stranger Things, if that makes sense.
Sounds insane. Like, but brilliantly insane.
Yeah, it's difficult to describe without having read it, and I think it's why Kate spent the best part of the decade talking to me about this book, and me going, "What the fuck are you going on about, dude?" and ignoring him. And then I finally picked up a copy and was absolutely stunned by what I read. The way that this guy's writing sucks you into the main protagonist is absolutely unbelievable, to the point where I'm not ashamed to say, there were certain chapters where I was crying reading what I was reading, because you get
kind of get a better selling point than that type thing.
Absolutely. That main character and the way that he's searching for the person that's been lost is such an unconditional, like, absolutely fear not the consequences kind of love just to get her back. Like I say, the old Greek tales of them journeying through the labyrinths and the underworld and all these kind of things in order to fish people back out after they've died. It's definitely got that kind of vibe to it. And it really does have to be read to be believed.
Experience it.
So
no, it sounds really good. Like say, and you sell it really well as well. Like if I ever need someone to sell something, I'm going to get you to like talk it up, because you say it quite beautifully and eloquently as well.
What was that called? Sorry.
That's Vurt, V-U-R-T.
So Sam, adding it to our Amazon wish list now.
I'm literally adding it to my book list. Yeah, I'll put them all in Goodreads later on. Vurt, and what was the other one?
The other one, Slaughterhouse 5.
That's it. Slaughterhouse 5. Thank you. Wow.
To be fair, you could just watch back the podcast when it's done. So get the views up.
I'm going to do this tonight when I'm finished. That's going to. I've got Goodreads and I add stuff into there just to make sure I don't forget what I want to pick up.
The one I would have to talk about, and again, we did touch on him, and we are going to do a whole podcast on this guy, just because Charlotte mentioned earlier, American Gods, Neil Gaiman. I've never read a book where I could not put it down from start to finish, and this is a big book as well. And the whole, I don't know if you've read it, the whole idea behind it. I know they've done the TV show, but how the mythology is like got old school but modern as well. How the God's powers work and stuff like that. Like it's got all the Odin and Thor and Loki, all them like big gods play a part, but they're slowly being taken over by modern day gods like TV, media, like say, and that's their powers. And because they're not getting the worship anymore, they're kind of resorted to grifting or living on the outside. They've still got a little bit of magic in them, but it's not to the degree when they had in the olden days. It's because people's belief systems and stuff change and they find it hard to do. And I just thought that concept was so well done. And I love it how, like, say, the main character, like Shadow Moon, he's kind of like an in-between, but you never really find out truly what kind of like being he is, but he's like a cross between these aspects. And there's twists and turns, and you can work it out really well. But I absolutely adored the characters. Even the bad guys in the characters were interesting and like so colourful and brought out. And I just love Neil Gaiman's writing to start with, and like say like his work from like his comic side of it, but even from like say Netherware and stuff like that. But American Gods stands head and foot above anything I've read, like probably in my lifetime. I'll be honest, it's my favourite book.
Wow, it is something I've like always wanted to pick up just based on the TV. I've only ever got the TV series to reference it, the idea of it. The only problem with the TV series is there was just just dragged on a bit. It just dragged, and it dragged to the point where I lost my attention. But the idea of it, the old gods versus the new, but the new gods are your media, the internet, like that's
Techno
the
Boy
new,
and
that's
stuff like
the
that.
new gods, like that concept is just genius to us. I really do want to read American Gods.
well, I love the aspect, like Neil Gaiman brought something out before and said he was going to add to it. I don't know if he was going to do like a sequel or like an extra like part where there's going to be extra gods on like Twitter and Facebook were going to be like gods and stuff. Then were there going to be like things brought into the like the ultra modern age. But I know this is probably going to start Grant off as well, but like with American Gods, like the casting was absolutely beautiful. Gillian Anderson in the first season was absolutely stunning, and like say as Lucy Ball and stuff. But they took elements in the book, but they brought other aspects in that they didn't need to. Like the Russian family, that was so poignant and beautiful in the book. It's pretty much scene for scene, same as what it's on the screen, what it's on the book. And then I'm glad they did keep them type of elements, but then they added certain things just to pad it out. Like Shadow's wife doesn't have as big a role in the book as she does in this TV show. But like I say, that aspect again, I can let go because she's absolutely stunning in even as a zombie in the TV show. Showing a little bit of a creepy side there, but
not my watch list, mate.
It doesn't leave much to imagination, put it that way. It's but yeah, American Gods is probably one of my highlights.
Sorry, I'm just looking behind us. My bookshelf's behind us. I was like, sorry.
You want me to take another one?
Yep,
yeah, go for it.
A little bit of a stereotype. I think there was another one I wanted to talk about, but I can't find my copy of it. And I thought copies would be a good thing, but we might get onto it later. Is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis.
Yes.
Now, everybody in the group, I would assume, has seen the film, and those that haven't seen the film need to go and see the film, because you might get a few spoilers here. I mean, everybody's at least heard of it. You know what I mean?
Like the book was notorious back in the day when the film was getting talked about getting made. I think everyone went out and read the book at times.
I've not seen it.
Okay, so
I'm not bothered though. I'm really not bothered. You sell me this book and I'll go and read it.
Don't worry, Sam hasn't seen much.
The thing about the book is it doesn't rush you in the way that the film does. You've got very, very quick establishment from the point at which you meet Patrick Bateman, the main character, to the point at which you find out he's this lunatic, psycho murderer. The book doesn't work like that. The thing that this book taught me is patience in what I am reading, because Bret Easton Ellis's writing style is absolutely relentless. The man does not understand the difference between a sentence and a chapter in some points. And there's bits where it just goes on and on and on, but for all the right reasons. Without giving too much away for Sammy who hasn't seen it.
No, don't get us wrong. I might not have seen the film. I totally know it.
Yeah,
I know everything.
I couldn't talk about anything with Sam, to be honest. I wouldn't be able to talk about any 80s films. So
fair enough.
We'd be lost. So don't get us wrong. For all I've not seen it, I have seen clippets. Obviously, it's been on the internet for years. I know the idea. I don't quite understand the ending, to be honest. I know the ending. I don't just quite understand it. So by all means, talk away.
Right.
It will not spoil anything. I'm
not going to give away the ending, but obviously if you've seen snippets and what have you, the most famous snippets tend to be the internal monologue of Patrick Bateman, like the scene with the business cards. And
I've seen that.
Look at it. It's got a watermark, and everybody knows that scene. In the book, those scenes go on for what feels like a lifetime, because it really, really sucks you into the fact that Bateman is such a self-obsessed narcissist. Just before that scene in the movie, there's the bit where Halverstram walks in. He goes in. He's wearing, he's got a penchant for Oliver People's glasses, and we get our hairs cut at the same barber. Whenever he meets anybody in the book, you go through that with every single person in the room. This person was standing there, and he's wearing these glasses and this shirt and that suit and this tie, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on, and he doesn't really get going bar one really off the cuff remark until about halfway through the movie, and then halfway through the book, and then he snaps, and you get all of this horrific, notorious gore that everybody has heard about. But up until that point, it's the level to which they establish Bateman as a psychopath, and it's brilliant, but it's difficult. It's really
I'll
difficult.
be honest. I've tried reading the book. I've not been able to finish it.
Yeah.
It's hard, but I think, as you said, you described the start of it perfectly. Like that build up, like with the film, it kind of jumped straight in. I was one of the ones that watched the film first and went, right, I'm going to have to read this book because Patrick Bateman is such an interesting character, especially on screen, and Christian Bale plays him absolutely phenomenally.
Absolutely.
And when you're reading the book, you get more and more uncomfortable. It's one of these books where you're not entertained. I know it sounds really strange. You're reading the book to be entertained, but it's not entertaining in the slightest. You're getting more and more uncomfortable, and you're feeling like you're with him while he's delving into that psychosis at the same time.
Yeah.
And as you said, when it goes too far, that's when I went, oh, it become like, say, too much, where I was like reading the page and like, right, I'll have to come back to it later. And it just become less enjoyable. But I love the film. It's one of my favorite films to watch because it's an interesting take on the human psyche, and to see the breakdown from being so controlled to losing it slightly, and then, like, say, the end bit. I know there's always at the end, when it first came out, there was a bit of, not controversy, but like, say, a debate whether Bateman imagined it all and it didn't really happen, or did his lawyer clean up all the mess and so it didn't think. And I loved that aspect, and that's why I was a little bit disappointed as well when they brought out American Psycho 2, and it kind of then spoiled it a little bit. It lost its footing with us a bit. It was a sequel that didn't need to be made, and it kind of confirmed that it was him doing it as well. But I like that little indecisiveness, that you don't know what's kind of happening, and that was, like, say, again, something that I like to play on, because I like to think, is it like the Inception type of moment when you see the spinning thing, or the out of the Inception, or is it back to real world? But yeah, that was always the element I took from it a little bit.
I adored that ending for exactly that reason. I tend to go to the line of it was them all just cleaning it up. You know what I mean? It's like they were so obsessed with their own lifestyle and what they had and the possessions and that kind of stuff, that everybody around him would do anything to preserve that lifestyle, even if it meant covering it up. Little bit of a nerdy one. Has anybody seen American Psycho the musical?
No.
Holy shit, you are kidding.
Oh, this gets even nerdier. Patrick Bateman is played by Matt Smith on Broadway.
You're shitting me.
I am not shitting you, mate.
Doctor.
American Psycho the musical exists, and Matt Smith is blinding in it. I've not seen the thing all the way through. I've only managed to piece together certain bits from footage that I found online, and it looks spectacular.
Oh my.
I'm interested now. I'm all in. If I go to New York, like, say, me and Nick always talk about wanting to go there, I'm going to talk her into seeing that.
Yeah, man. When I first heard about it, I was like, "Hold on, what? Is this The Onion? Is it News Stump or something like that? This absolutely can't be real. How do you turn that into a musical? I can just see him, dancing around, and I've got some drain pipe, and I've got a rat." What?
Oh my god! I didn't even know that thing that existed. They will literally make a musical out of anything, won't they? Literally anything. Well, Jesus Christ! They did one on Diana.
Yeah, I was going to say, my mum and dad's just been to see the Back to the Future one, and they said they really enjoyed that. So.
Holy shit! The only musical I'm interested in seeing on Broadway is Hamilton. That is the only one I will want to see at the moment. But American Psycho just sound very intriguing. I wonder if Disney Plus gets it.
I'm trying to think. Who produced American Psycho? Was it Fox or was it Miramax?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. Like,
I've not seen it to know the production thing at the beginning, because Miramax always had the thing come up.
I'm just trying to remember, because if it is Miramax, then potentially Disney do own it, so it could see the musical hitting Disney Plus.
Wow. I'm trying to think of books that have really just had that impact on us.
Well, Well, I'll sidestep in a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I know, because this one will probably jog your memory into, like, rather than thinking of novels. Batman, The Long Halloween. We talked about it. I don't know, favorite comic books.
Yeah.
That was the quintessential Batman story of, like, him being the great detective, and how, like I say, it involved, like, a great rogue gallery, and it showcased what, not Batman the vigilante beating people up, but Batman the detective going through, and it kind of cemented to me my love for Batman as the comics. And again, moving on from, like, The Long Halloween, it got, like, made us more interested. So I got discovered Hush, which is, again, one of the best Batman comics that's ever been produced. And then even moving on to, like, say, like Kingdom Come and, like, Justice League, like Justice, that type of thing. But The Long Halloween was probably one of the first big deep dives into DC and the Batman universe.
I'm trying to think, like, Marvel wise, because I've not been consistent with Marvel reading. Like, I've not just stuck to one person and went, right, you were it, and that this is where, you know, I'm going to go down it with you. I tried with Captain Marvel when Kelly Sue took over, and I just got to her run, and then I was finished. I wasn't interested in what anyone else had to say on her. I am very much, like, I love to read books, like factual books, and that's what I can power through. Like, I've been talking all day about how much I struggle with reading fiction, but books on, like, fact or biographies, I can race through them. And the best one I probably read recently, like, that hasn't made me go cold inside, was the I'm looking at it right now, Mallory O'Mara, when she did the book on the Millicent Patrick, the lady who did the creature concept design. And
yes, you talked about that. Yeah, when we're talking about things about how she created the creature, like, say, the creature outfit, and didn't get the credit at the time and stuff.
Yeah, and she got it taken away from her by not just a man, but it was a Westmore, you know, the biggest powerful Hollywood makeup people, like, family there was. She got it taken away by them. And the fact that Mallory did a whole journey of discovery of Millicent's life, and quite discovered, like, a lot about herself as well. Like, there was some, like, spooky coincidences in Korea to Korea. It was a really interesting read. I don't know enough to say it, like, kind of, don't get us wrong, I got a little bit of empowerment from it, but I tend to do that when I read books that women have read who are telling a story or trying to empower another woman.
Yeah, no, it's great. And again, just thinking about one that does always stand out, back then, again, I read this on the back of seeing the movie, went to Stephen King, The Body, after watching Stand By Me as a child, and realizing it was a short story, and buying Different Seasons, I think it was the book that it was a part of, just purely on, like I said, that story. And again, it's just as impactful, just as well done as the movie, and the stories, like I say, holds up. But again, it was one of the ones I used to love as a kid, watching, reading back. I would always recommend that if you're not a fan of Stephen King, try that, and it will get you more into, like I said, the other side of Stephen King, not just the horror aspect.
I will give it a go.
The Green Mile did that with me, because when I read The Green Mile, it was while Stephen King was releasing it for the first time, and it wasn't released in one book. He released it as 6 short stories, and I was queuing up outside of W.H. Smith every 2 weeks or however long it was. It was a long time ago now, waiting for the next bit of the story. It's probably the only, but not that many people release books like that, but that was definitely something that kind of changed my reading habits and changed my thirst for reading. What you just mentioned there quickly before, Sammy, about being more into factual, I don't know if I mentioned it when I introduced Slaughterhouse-5, but if a bit of reality is definitely a cup of tea, then I would go back to the recommendation even more. The author, Kurt Vonnegut, was a prisoner of war just outside of Dresden when the Dresden bombings happened in the Second World War, and the main character in it opens up very, very early. A huge chunk of the life that he's living, albeit non-linearly, is pretty much autobiographical from Kurt Vonnegut's perspective of being in that POW camp. So I don't know, it's something that brings a bit of life, real life into the fiction, if you know what I mean.
All right. Yeah. Sounds cool. I'm trying to think if there's any biographies or anything that, like, say that hit as hard, but it's a difficult one. Like, probably I know it's not nerdy and stuff like that. It wasn't a biography. I'm trying to think of the name now. It was the Brian Clough one. And
right.
the pit, it was like not the true story, but it was like the one that they made the film on, where it was
with Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. I've kind of brain's not working now.
Yeah, he's probably like mush at the moment, mate. I thoroughly enjoyed the Brian Clough movie with Michael Sheen, but I will read a biography on anyone. Like, it doesn't matter who they are, apart from Z-list celebrities.
Yeah,
that is a no-go.
Yeah, it was the Damn United thing, but it was like kind of based on true story, but it was like wrote in a way that was like almost like it was, I'm trying to think, it wasn't factual, but it's like what they thought had happened or what wanted to happen, but there was factual elements to it. But the film done it well, but the book is absolutely hilarious. Like, if you know anything about Brian Clough and like a sports fan, it's nailed on for his personality and how he would have reacted. But Michael Sheen plays it absolutely perfectly in the movie. That was probably one of the like sports novels, because like I was always a big sports fan, but I always found anything like, say, sports biographies and stuff being quite dull and not really entertaining.
Yeah, I've thoroughly, like, I love Michael Sheen anyway. Like, that man, I'm waiting for him to be the Doctor.
I'd love to see that.
Just saying it. I'm really shocked he's not done anything with them, because Gillian, I didn't realize it at the time, but Gillian Anderson's husband is the guy from The Crown, who does The Crown, who also did The Queen with Michael Sheen, who played Tony Blair. I am just waiting for him to reprise his role as Tony Blair in The Crown. Like, I need that to happen. Sorry, that was my Michael Sheen, but I love him. Like, I seriously love the man. Seriously love him.
Any last picks there, Grant?
I've never been one for biographies, but given the fact that we're on factual literature, the missus picked up an amazing one that I'm yet to read. She probably won't let me read it. For those that are book readers out there, she's the kind of person that keeps
has to read it first.
Absolutely. Oh no, she keeps it in pristine
she won't break
condition.
The spine or
she
anything
won't
like
break
that.
the spine. Everything.
Oh wow!
Gotta have a bookmark and everything. I am a page bender. My books look like they've been through a washing machine. But she managed to get a hold of a copy of, is it A Father's Tale? It's the book that Lionel Dahmer wrote. It's essentially the autobiography of Jeffrey Dahmer's father.
Oh my gosh, yes, I've heard of this.
She spent a bloody fortune on it. We missed a mortgage payment. She's probably going to start banging on the floor in a minute because she's watching this upstairs. But it didn't move me, but I saw the way that book affected her, because she reads true crime all day. She's completed YouTube for true crime. But it's obviously Dahmer's father, he's going to blame himself. He's going to wonder what he did wrong in Dahmer's life and whether anything that he ever did had an effect on him and all that kind of stuff. So he's written all of this stuff down, and it really kind of not shook her, but there was definitely an emotional response when she was reading it, because apparently I'm an arsehole for saying that there was an emotional response. Either that or there's a little bit of a delay.
There's possibly there's a delay.
There's a 40-second delay, I think.
There's a 40-second delay, so she's just
done
heard
that
about...
to wake these idiots up as well, because they're now
oh my goodness!
And going,
look at that big doggy!
Gretel, come here. Come here. I'll tell you what, I'll go off Lionel Dahmer, and this is Gretel.
Hello, sweetheart.
Yeah, Gretel is a Great Dane. And she's lovely and affectionate, but she is absolutely thick as mince. You have never met a dog this stupid in your life. Let's get the rest of the furries. Come on, back off. I'll go and get Nala for you. Nala looks like an Ewok. She is the ugliest dog I've ever seen in my life. Nala, come on. Come on. Up you get.
Shih Tzu?
So this is Nala.
Oh,
Lhasa Shih Tzu.
That is a Jack Russell Shih Tzu cross, so she's a Jack shit.
Get in. We've got Shih Tzus and we've got Lasses.
And if I can unplug my laptop, because we're all about the pussy kittens.
You've got a Great Dane and a cat.
Oh,
You
It's
don't just
Gypsy.
have a cat.
Hello, princess.
Oh my God, men and cats.
Yeah. She ended up going Reddit famous a couple of years ago. I'd randomly put a snap of her on iBleach and or Reddit or as well, and just thought, oh, you know, that's a nice picture of my cat. I'll put that up there and see what happens. And I woke up the next day and it had like 40,000 upvotes. And I was like, what the fuck just happened there?
You've got a famous kitty.
Indeed, I do. She is Reddit famous. But yeah, so like I said, factual wise, I'm not big on it. I say I'm not big on it. Vonnegut did do a lot of autobiographical stuff and a lot of social commentary later on in his career. So, you know, I've read stuff by him that's definitely from a factual perspective, but biographies have never really been a big thing for me. I like to sink into fiction. I like to get lost in it.
I'm finally getting there with fiction, and I know it's been a long trawl. I've just finished Game of Thrones, book 2, Clash of Kings. That's taken me years, and finally, I don't know what's happened in my head. I don't know if it's because I've had enough of what I've been reading. I'm like, my brain's like, it's time to evolve. Because I love the idea. I would love to be able to read like everyone else. I just can't. I have a very dyslexic brain that allows me to only get so far in a book before my brain has worked too hard and I get incredibly tired. It takes a lot out of us to read, but reading biographies, I don't know if it's because the letters are bigger in a biography. I don't know why, but my brain doesn't work as hard as what it needs to when I'm reading biographies and when I'm reading fiction, because I feel like it got to the point once when I was writing stuff down just to remember what had happened in this book. And honestly, I've been through an absolute mare with this second book trying to read it. And I don't know why, but I don't know if it's just because I've been reading so much recently that my brain's starting to, because normally I would just not bother because I'm too tight. Like honestly, dyslexia is a nightmare, and it doesn't just work where you're like, oh, I can't read letters. It's like, yes, I can read letters, but my brain takes a long time to compute what's actually in front of us. So I'm working 10 times harder to read a sentence than what you could do in a whole chapter.
Yeah. Kelly's in the chats just shouted out a good shout. Maybe try a few audiobooks. I don't know if you've tried that or if it's an aspect that you've.
I did, but I get easily distracted. I get easily distracted and then I've lost something. I did read White Trash Zombie. I didn't read it. I had it read to me, and it was apt. I could not get distracted with it because the girl who did the reading did it in a Southern Louisiana accent, and I was just absolutely like enthralled with it. I have tried doing it because YouTube have a lot of books on there as well, like Lord of the Rings, Stephen King books, audio books, all free on YouTube. I've tried it. I just, like I say, easily distracted, or I fall asleep. But I do try though.
Like I say, just to round up, is anything else you want to add there, Grant? While
oh my God, I didn't even see the time.
The only thing you've put me onto there talking about audiobooks is that YouTube video of Gilbert Gottfried reading 50 Shades of Grey. It's God, possibly the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life. So yeah, anybody that's interested in audiobooks, go and find that one first, because you're not going to find better or more comedic than Gilbert Gottfried talking about a clitoris. I don't think I've got anything to add, guys, other than just to say thank you. You know what I mean? What you've done today is amazing. It's been a pleasure to come on here and chat with you, despite all of the issues before. It's been an amazing cause, and you're keeping everybody so happy, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
No, great, really mate. Like I said, you're a big part of the group, and like I say, hopefully going forward, like I say, with
See
everything
more of
plans,
you.
we'll hopefully see a bit more of you as well, even if you get called a knobhead by your wife.
It'll be a cucumber next time if that's the case.
To be fair though, I have to commend you as well. You've done an amazing job with your wife's hair. That was
Look who's
absolutely
back.
phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
Hello, sweetheart.
Hello, Gretel.
My
Can you hear a
God.
pervert breathing? She sounds like a call, you know, the prank callers you'd get when, you know, everybody was still on landline phones. I don't know if you can hear it, but just like she's actually trying to get up on my knee now. Watch this.
Yes. So we have a Martin joining us
Hey,
now.
Martin.
So just to, like I say, just to give a shout out, please, like I say, everyone who's donated, thank you. Please, it's for a good cause.
Thank you. You all.
We're in the final hour now, so thank you very much, Grant. Before you get eaten,
Oh,
Bye-bye.
Love the dog.
Bye.
thank you, Grant.
Grant,
Bye.
you rock, dude. Fucking love you, Grant.